everyone. It's 6 o'clock, and at this time I will call the October 5th, 2021 meeting of the Anson County Board of Commissioners to order. I appreciate everybody coming out, and we're going to try to move along so that we're not here very long. And our first order of business is a moment of silence, and this moment of silence is in remembrance of retired Major and Chief Deputy Charlie Little. He spent 30 years with the Anson County Sheriff's Department. So this time we'll have a moment of silence in honor of Mr. Little. Thank you. Okay, at this time we will have the approval of the agenda. Hopefully everyone has gone through it. I don't know if the county manager has anything to add other than what he already has on here. If not, we'll move down to commissioner concerns, petitions, announcements, and comments. If anybody has anything to add, right there. Okay, all right. Hearing none. This time we will entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
No move.
Have a motion by Commissioner Sims, seconded by Commissioner Sturman to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carries. It is unanimous. Also, I would mention too that Commissioner Gatewood, I got an email from him. He's got some kind of a medical issue. He's not going to be able to be with us this evening. Okay, in accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, General Statute 138A, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearance of conflict. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any undue participation in that particular matter involved. Anyone have any conflict with anything on the agenda tonight? Okay, hearing none, we move on. Item 2 is the consent agenda, which is the minutes that are on page 2. Property tax refunds adjustments, that's on our desk in front of us. COVID-19 vaccination admin fee for the 3rd dose of Moderna, that's on page 20. The 4-H resolution, which is a proclamation that they're setting aside October 3rd through the 9th, 2021 as 4-H week here in Anson County. And the budget amendment to the Government Center. And as we talked at our last meeting, that's to add a budget amendment of $20,000 for security down at the entrance that was not in the budget. Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board on the consent agenda?
I think it's all good. Move to be approved.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Sims, seconded by Commissioner Sturman. Commissioner Smith, any discussion?
4-H Club is a vital part of the young people's lives. It's a good thing.
It's good. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the like sign. Motion carried. It is, the consent agenda is approved unanimously. Okay, we're now down to public addresses to the board. And we have Mr. Clark. While she's coming, I'd just like to remind everyone, Ms. Clark, we have 3 minutes, and commissioners, we are not to comment or have any discussion on matters under public addresses to the board. We'll assign that to the county manager staff once we're here. Okay. Ms. Clark?
Okay, hi again. Like I said, my name is Loretta Clark. A little bit about me. I born and raised in Anson County, Lylesville, and I've served over 31 years in the United States military, worked on Capitol Hill, and I'm a 9/11 survivor of the Pentagon, so I'm here. Now, so again, born and raised in Lilesville. We have concerns in our neighborhood, which is 8th Street, regarding the health and safety of our community. So we've been asking for help for years, and I don't know what happened or what has happened. Maybe something's in the work, but right now the environmental safety and healthy concerns of our street is a big problem. There's a lot of things happening that shouldn't be happening. People have junk in their yards. I mean, it's like a junkyard, you know, and it's very displeasing, and it causes problems, and it causes health issues when they burn illegal trash. You know, people breathing all this stuff. My mother now has to wear a pacemaker because the doctor said she have been breathing some particles that cause her heart to slow down. So she has had 3 surgeries for that. They have looked into it and tried to get some help with this. Has not been successful with this. We have some other health issues regarding the collection of trash and automobiles filled with trash, and old and dogs and barking and the noise audiences, and we can't get any peace, any sleep. We can't go outside our homes and enjoy our homes because of the stench and the smell. My parents are older now. They need to not have to deal with this outside of, and they need to be able to enjoy their homes. So my plea is to request a proposal for a homeowner's responsibility ordinance or act or whatever you want to call it, that people, all the neighbors should be responsible for the upkeep of their homes, and especially the outside of their homes when it affects the property value of the neighborhood around them, and when it causes health and safety issue of the rest of the neighborhoods. People in the neighborhood, people have to live in their house like it's a prison because they can't enjoy the outside of their homes. And I pray your home should be a place of comfort, not a prison. But when these such things happen, then there's no need to go outside because you can't enjoy it because of the stench, the smell, and the unsightly. So we are also requesting the city limits to be extended to entire street of 8th Street, and which includes Bird Road. Is one of our biggest pleas. That's what we have. Those are our biggest concerns: health and safety of our neighborhood. We want to keep our neighborhood beautiful. Okay, am I done? Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Clark, and once again, thank you for your service, and we appreciate what you've done for our country. Thank you. And at this time, could you give your contact information to the clerk, and I'll ask the county manager to get back with you and to see where we need to go with this.
Thank you.
And Mr. Gary Sykes.
May I remove my mask while I'm speaking? Is that okay? Or okay, thank you. So you'll see on your agenda Ronnie Morgan and Eddie Edwards' names on to present this, and I apologize. They're our senior supervisors. They were unable to be here and asked Kim and I to stand in to make this request. So I don't know how many of you, I know some of you are very familiar with Brown Creek Soil and Water Conservation District. What a rich heritage we have here in this county. Not only the first conservation district of its kind in the state, but the first in the country, and as far as I know, the world. So Hugh Hammond Bennett certainly had a great vision, and so I think it's important that you all as leaders of the county understand that vision and that history and what that means to this county. So the Brown Creek Soil and Water Conservation District administers the North Carolina Ag Cost Share Program and the Agricultural Water Resources Assistance Program, known as AGRAP. Funding through these programs through the legislature in Raleigh is we currently have 4 active contracts that affects 334 acres in the county to an amount of $58,876. We also offer technical assistance provided to ag producers. Additionally, salaries and benefits supplemented by the state implement the North Carolina cost share program, educational programs with the schools, with homeschool programs. We're always happy to set up there and bring to awareness the importance of soil and water conservation. Also as well, in conjunction with USDA NRCS, Natural Resources Conservation, we implement various federal farm bill programs. Assistance ranges from accepting applications to conducting field checks and make sure that these systems are actually installed and they were done properly. And as a result, funding through USDA in fiscal year 2021, we have 24 active contracts. We've 3,682 acres, $2.542 million federal dollars to implement conservation in Anson County. And again, continue to offer assistance to ag producers. What we are here requesting is that we would like a budget amendment to fund both the positions. We had 2 positions, and in the spring we actually held the interview, went through the interview process, and we only had 1 candidate. He was actually, I think, would have been very good for the office, but we offered him the job and he ended up not accepting it because it didn't feel like it paid quite enough. So we're now in a position that currently our administrative head is moving into the technician position. And
the 3 minutes are up now, Mr. Sykes, so if you can kind of.
Okay, so we're asking to be able to fund, if she retires, she may retire soon, we don't want to be left alone without somebody with some experience there, so we would like a budget amendment to go ahead and do this.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Sykes. At this time, since you did it under public addresses to the board, we'll assign that to the county manager as well. It was actually an agenda item, but under appearances, but I see you signed up on public addresses because of Mr. Morgan not being able to be here.
Can I speak for him though? Sheriff? Not speak to him, but speak for him.
Right.
Whenever they got here, I think they was under the assumption that you had, cause I heard the lady get him to go out there and sign it.
And they didn't know, cause Mr. Bracken and I was with the young lady.
And, am I not correct, ma'am?
Yes.
She the one told him to go out there.
Okay.
I
know,
don't
that's
think
why I
they
was told
realized that they was
yesterday.
already on the, agenda.
I apologize, I understood them to be on the agenda, is that not under the appearances of number 4, taking Eddie and,
Ronnie's.
Ronnie's place?
That is
that not
correct.
true?
That's what I just stated, yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
They chose to come under, but they came up under public address.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Okay, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the agenda, it's the pleasure of the board.
Are they on there?
Okay, they can do that, even though they went out of turn
Mhm.
specifically, but they can do that. Yes, sir.
And since I accidentally or unintentionally mentioned to sign up if they're gonna speak, then I think it's important to let them, if they wanna be on the agenda, be placed back on it.
Are they on there?
Yeah, they're actually all just different people, so, I mean.
I've said basically what I had to say. If there are any questions, I'm happy to address them at this time.
Okay, based on what was just pointed out by the county attorney, does any commissioners have any questions at this time?
Go ahead, excuse me, Mr. Bracken. You know more about it than I do.
Well, and briefly, I think she explained that there were 2 positions at one time, and then that one position, when it became vacant, became underfunded, cause some of the funding went to the other lady that allowed her to position both those jobs. And now to make it easier and more productive, I'm just wanna make sure I'm clear on this. Y'all wanna go back to the 2 positions and have that second position fully funded. And then the question would be, in fully funding that second position, would we take away the additional funding that the one position has to supplement the second one.
That would be correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I figured there'd be a question because that's a little complicated,
Yeah.
and, but that is what we're looking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, that actually takes care of public addresses to the board and also item 4B under appearances. Okay, so, Mr. Allen, we would need you to bring that information back to us, what they're asking, and then that way we can take action on it. Okay, item 4A under appearances, Ms. Victoria Witt from Sand Hill Center.
Good evening. I'm Victoria Witt. I'm the CEO of Sand Hill Center, and thank you so much for allowing me to come before the board tonight. Before I get started, however, I do want to thank the Anson County Board of Commissioners once again for all of the support you give Sand Hill Center. I'm usually here in the spring asking for funding, so don't get confused and think that's why I'm here. I'm here for a totally different reason tonight. I'm here to present a resolution on behalf of my board to you that would assist Sand Hill Center in how we organize and appoint our board of directors. Before I get started, I want to thank you for the appointment of Commissioner Mims to the Sand Hill Center Board. Had the pleasure of meeting with him a couple of weeks ago, and he will be joining the board a week from tonight, Tuesday night. Also, thank you for the continued appointment of Priscilla Little to the Sand Hill Center Board. Is Priscilla here? Hey, I can't talk about you now, right? Priscilla serves as the secretary to the board, so she is one of the board officers, and she also serves on our compliance committee. So Anson County is well represented, and we do look forward to Commissioner Mims joining us next week. So why I'm here is a resolution. To give you a little background information, you probably know as of today there are 7 LME MCOs in North Carolina. Sand Hill Center is one of those 7. Cardinal Innovations, which is an LME MCO to our west, actually directly to Anson County's west, has had some difficulties over the past couple of years. You have probably heard in the news about difficulties with the board of directors, with the CEO, and with overall services to the community. Cardinal is comprised of 20 counties. About a year ago, beginning in November, Cabarrus County, Union County, Forsyth County, and Mecklenburg County petitioned the secretary to leave Cardinal because of their displeasure with how things were going. The secretary worked with Cardinal to develop a plan of correction to try to smooth things over and bring them into compliance. That did not work, so the secretary did finally tell those 4 counties that they had the right to disengage from Cardinal and align with another LME MCO. Also at that time, the secretary made it clear to the other of the counties, of the 20 counties, that they also had the right that if they were not pleased with Cardinal Innovations, they could also do the same. Back in June, it became clear to the state that there's so many counties were leaving Cardinal that they were no longer solvent, so to speak, or financially feasible. So Cardinal as an entity has made the decision to merge with VIA, which is another LME MCO that is based in Asheville. I neglected to tell you that Cardinal is based in Charlotte. However, it was still made clear that if any county wished to change, they had that right. The North Carolina Association of County Commissioners supported counties moving if they so desired and worked closely providing oversight to the process. So long story short, we were contacted over the past 6 months by numerous counties about potential engagement with Sand Hill Center. My board has been very involved in these discussions, and at the end of the day, 2 counties, Davidson County and Rockingham County, are the 2 counties that, after members of my board and we did our due diligence, we felt were most appropriate to join Sand Hill Center. Davidson County, everyone should know, is kind of to the west of Randolph County, so they fit real closely in, and Rockingham County is to the north of Guilford County. One thing we were really looking at was that we wanted counties that were contiguous. Even though the secretary had said counties didn't need to be contiguous, my board felt it really important that we maintained a close relationship with all of our counties. So obviously one area that we have been very concerned about and talking about is the funding. So we have worked it out with the state that any of the funds from Davidson County or Rockingham County, either state or federal dollars, that were going to Cardinal on behalf of those members, those consumers, would now come to Sand Hill Center. December 1st of this year is the date that the state has set for this change to happen. Here we are, October. We feel it is doable. We feel good about these 2 additional counties and about the ability to receive the funding from those counties to continue services to their members. I would also indicate that the county funding that was going to Cardinal on behalf of Rockingham and Davidson County, effective December 1st, will come to Sand Hills. The allocation from Rockingham County is in the area of about $700,000 that will come to Sand Hills, and the amount for Davidson County is about $824,000. So taking on these additional counties will in no way affect the other counties and our ability to deliver services to those our current counties. So, however, one issue that came up, and that gets me to why I'm here tonight, is that state statute says you can only have 21 members on the board. We have 21 members as we exist now. So we became concerned that if we took on 2 additional counties, we would have to redistribute board seats, and some of our counties would lose board seats. So we have had a discussion with the secretary, the DHHS secretary, Mandy Cohen, and Dave Richard, the deputy secretary, and we have been assured that we can receive additional board seats. So we are currently asking or planning to ask for 5 additional seats. What that would mean, and as you remember, our bylaws require that each of our counties have 2 seats. And here in Anson, it's Commissioner Mims and Priscilla. However, Randolph County and Guilford County, being bigger, receive 3 seats and 4 seats respectively. So we are asking for 5 seats to be divided, 3 to Davidson County because they are bigger than Randolph, and 2 to Rockingham County because they are the same size as Moore County and some of the other counties. However, in order for me to ask for those seats, each board of county commissioners in the existing 9 counties has to pass a resolution. So what I'm asking for, and the resolution is in front of you, plus a letter from me that hopefully explains this process, is approval by Anson County Commissioners for me to ask the Secretary for additional seats. It is not the approval or any issues regarding the alignment of Davison and Rockingham. That's the responsibility of the Sand Hills Board of Directors. But in order to ask for additional board seats, I need county commission approval. I have appeared, I think tonight is the 7th commission I have appeared before, and we have 6 resolutions. All of the commissioners in our catchment area have approved the resolution. So I'm going to stop there. There's a lot of information I threw out there, and answer any questions that you might have. We're very interested in trying to get this letter to the Secretary, hopefully by the end of this week, if not the first of next week, because we would like to have that new board formed around December 1st, when we will be taking on these 2 counties. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
The letter that Ms. Wiggins, you sent us, and the resolution, very thorough, explains itself. So, and I feel like all the other commissioners feel the same way. So we are just gonna vote and all make up that we approve it. That our clerk, I know she'll do an excellent job. Go ahead and.
Okay, Mr. Sturter was making the motion to adopt a joint resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Anson, Guilford, Harnett, Hope, Lee, Montgomery, Moore, Randolph, and Richmond counties to appoint members of the Sand Hills Center Board of Directors in a manner and with a composition other than is required by North Carolina General Statute 122C-118.1. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Mims. Any further discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all you do.
Okay, item 4C, under appearance, Ms. Burr, COVID-19 update.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to give the COVID update for the month of October so far. Our total cases as of today is 3,728 with 143 active and 77 deaths. Our percent positive rate for the week of last week, 9/26 to 10/2, was 11.6%. The week before, we had a percentile of 11.2. So it has increased some, but not dramatically where a big increase at all. During the month of September, we had 555 new cases and unfortunately 10 deaths. That hits home to me because I had some family members pass away, so it is tough. We do have some good news. Optimus is a state vendor that is now currently doing COVID testing. They are doing it in the old hospital parking lot. They are doing it Monday through Friday from 10 to 6. No appointments needed. They take your insurance card. It's free, no cost whatsoever. It takes between 2 and 3 days to get the test results back. You'll be notified by email, text, whichever you prefer to do, excuse me. We have currently stopped doing the COVID testing at the health department because the Optimus is doing more. They can do up to 100 a day. They are testing anyone from age 1 up. So that's currently something that the health department could not do because we could not test children because we don't do pediatrics there at the health department. So that's a big plus for the county that they can do the testing for the kids in school that have been sent home, that are quarantined, so that way they can get them back in school sooner. With us not doing the COVID testing on Monday afternoons and Wednesdays, we are currently doing our flu shots. So what we'll be doing we have the high dose for anyone that's 65 and older, and we have the regular flu shot for anybody else. No appointments for that, we're just doing walk-ins for that also. I would, I'm nervous, I'm sorry.
All right.
Just as a whole, Anson County, that, patients that have been vaccinated and stuff now with at least the first dose, we have 10,720. People that are fully vaccinated is 9,720. So the percent of positive population vaccinated with at least one dose is 44%, and one that are fully vaccinated are at 40%. So, and that's basically all. Oh, we are doing the third shot for the Moderna, but currently the Moderna has not received approval from the FDA to consider the third shot. So what we are doing is we are giving these shots for the compromised immune systems only. But there again, that is on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 to 11 to 1 to 4, no appointments needed. Thank you. That's all I have to report on. If there's any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Do you know on the Moderna for those 12 to 18, is FDA getting ready to approve that, or is that still on hold?
We've not been told anything by the state and stuff now, so we were told back in August that it was gonna be approved, but nothing's happened so far, so.
Cause one of the concerns that I heard was that the kids don't want the Pfizer because of the little bit of publicity about the heart trouble with the teenagers. But is it possible that Pfizer seems to be worse for the kids because they haven't done Moderna yet? Cause they're saying they'd rather have the Moderna, but there's probably no research. So Pfizer may appear to be worse, but only because it's not compared to a shot that. Okay.
Right, there's no data there to compare it, because they haven't really, I mean, they've done the test trials, of course, on the kids, 12 to 17 for the Moderna, but, like we say, one is good as the other.
Okay, so there's not necessarily worse, it's just the fact that one's been used, and even with a tiny percentage, okay, that's.
My child personally has been vaccinated with the Pfizer, because, in my opinion and all, something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So if you need to, get your child vaccinated, go get the Pfizer, and stuff now. I mean, because like I said, with all the Delta variants and who knows what other else kind of variants could come, and all, it's just like anything else. You have your choices on what kind of food you like compared to anything else and all. So that's just kind of what some people are saying and stuff now, so.
But in your opinion, if the Moderna was approved for 12 to 18, it wouldn't be any safer, it's just, like you said, it's just a different choice.
It's just a different brand, basically.
Thank you. My seniors, you have them truly spoiled. They say you'll come out there to the car and give them their shot.
I don't give the shots, I don't do the shots and all, so, but yes.
Them out there. Thank you.
That's
thank
all.
you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have any questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Burr.
Thank you.
And we appreciate all that the health department is doing.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now at item 5, appointments. The first appointment is Board of Health. They're asking for Dr. Danny Wright to be reappointed to the Board of Health.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sturman to reappoint Dr. Danny Wright.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Bricken. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous. Dr. Wright is reappointed to the Board of Health. Next item, 5B, the Jury Commission, and they're asking that William Wall be reappointed to the Jury Commission.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Mr. William Wall to the
Second.
Jury Commission.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Sturman, seconded by Commissioner Sims to reappoint William Wall to the Jury Commission. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried, it is unanimous. Mr. William Wall is reappointed to the Jury Commission. Okay, we're down to the manager's report. Mr. Allen.
Yes, I'm gonna let, Mr. Forbes take the first item, Mr. Woodbury, the, resolution to convey the agri-civic center property.
Okay.
everyone will remember, a couple years ago, this board decided that they wanted to embark on an endeavor to do an agricultural center. They worked successfully with Wade Manufacturing, who sold some land at a very discounted rate under certain stipulations. One of those stipulations is that if it was not gonna be used for that purpose, that it would be transferred back. For the record, the commissioners honored their promises and their negotiations. The original deed did not have that in there. However, the minutes reflected that we did have that as a caveat to buying the land. And therefore we have corrected that, and now we are making good on Anson County Commissioner's promise and their word, and we are restoring that land, or returning that land back to them. This resolution, I'll read it if you'd like, gives us that power to do so. All we're doing is following what we were obligated to do, and I say we because the board is following what they were obligated to do in the beginning, and that is what this allows them to do. A full return of money will be made to the board, except for the purchase money. Earnest money, that's what it is. That's the word. Phrases were against me. I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Mr. Manager. The earnest money will be returned. This resolution gives the authority to have that deed signed and recorded, and to receive the money that's going to be returned.
We ought to keep our word. We don't keep our word, we're not going to be viewed as reliable people.
Certainly. It would be prudent to mention that this is not regular county property that would be required to be put on an auction block. This was a specific purpose, and I've already checked with that. We are well within our bounds, morally and legally, on this. Thank you.
Okay, I think this time we would need to take action on this resolution to return land purchased from Wade Manufacturing.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sims, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant, to approve the resolution to return the land purchased from Wade Manufacturing. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carries. The resolution is passed unanimously.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is regarding the 2020 census. This matter was asked to be brought up by Commissioner Gatewood. As you know, Anson County lost population as a result of the 2020 census. Actually, 51 counties in North Carolina lost population, all of those being more rural counties in nature, and the other 49 essentially gained population. However, Anson County's drop was fairly precipitous, about 18.2%, which I think was higher than most people expected. And Mr. Gatewood wanted to bring this to the board's attention to see if the board wanted to entertain the notion of trying to challenge the census. You can do that on some very technical basis. It's not an easy task, but it can be done. And challenges can be filed between this coming January 2022 and June of 2023 by the chairman or his designee. But the board would need to approve going about that challenge. I think we would need some outside assistance to do that. It's a very technical kind of thing. And if the board has an interest in this, we could bring additional information about the cost of that and what the process would be if that's the interest of the board.
Cost to the county.
Yes, ma'am.
Could we, since Commissioner Gatewood had brought that up, could we table that till the next meeting, since it was his concern? Is there a time frame that we need to?
We don't have to, we can do that, or we could just ask Mr. Allen to do the research to see what the cost is gonna be, to determine if we wanna proceed with it. So that would be my recommendation at this time. We don't have to vote or anything, we just address Mr. Allen to proceed with doing investigative work to determine what all is involved and what the cost is gonna be, and then at that time in the future, we'll decide if we want to proceed.
I guess everybody already knows what I'm about to say, but census shows that we have lost a considerable amount of people. And it's really a little hard for me to believe we lost 1/3 of our population.
the numbers are?
About 28 down to 20 or something like that, 29 down to 20.
18%, I think it was 3,800 people, something like that, if I remember.
3,800, is that all?
Roughly.
I got mixed up with all four of that. Still a lot.
Yes, yes. Okay, Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir. The next item, Mr. Chairman, is also related to the decennial census. And basically, after every census, any jurisdiction that elects its members, in this case the county commissioners, by electoral district, you have to examine those districts and make sure that they haven't necessarily gained or lost significantly in population, so that one district has a lot more people in it than another. It's sort of the one man, one vote principle, and basically districts shouldn't be greater than 5% or less than 5% of the average of all of the electoral districts. And so what we need to do is examine those districts, see if any changes need to be made, and what would happen would be Central Carolina Council of Governments would come in, they would look at the census data, compare it to the current county electoral districts, and then if any adjustments need to be made, they would draw proposed maps. And of course, the intent is to change them as little as possible. Hopefully you won't have to make many big adjustments. If no adjustments are needed, if all of the districts have lost or have stayed pretty much within plus or 5%, then you don't have to make any changes at all. They would only charge half their fee. If they do have to draw additional maps, they would bring those to you, give you 2 or 3 options to look at, and then the board would elect or decide which direction you want to go in terms of new maps. We are under a tight time frame for this. It has to be to the board of elections by November 17th, I believe it is. So we do have to move quickly on this. And Central Carolina is prepared to get started on that right away if the contract is approved by the board.
4898 is the greatest loss since 1790. I believe some people will not count it.
Very possible, very possible. Okay, and the one thing I was wondering about, it looked like these things are independent of each other if we're talking about challenges.
They are, yes, they're independent, yes, sir.
Which the time frame for that is not often coming up to January of next year, and this has to be started, has to be done by November. We'll need to, if we want to do this, and I guess we are required to do this, am I understanding this correctly?
I think if you don't do it, then you're open to a legal challenge for your electoral districts if you don't go through this process.
Okay.
We would be able to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to do this, so at this time we'll entertain a motion from the board to take action on this.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Sims, is that second? Okay, seconded by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
You get everybody? Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, am I correct that even had I not made a motion and Mr. Smith seconded, we would eventually had to do something? That's correct, then, Mr. Allen?
Okay. Mr. Allen?
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is a grant project ordinance to appropriate the American Recovery Plan funds that the county will be receiving. The county's allocation of these funds is $4.7 million. We have already requested and received $2,374,000 of that amount, and so we have got those funds, and they're here with the county. In order to start spending those funds, and the board has already discussed a couple of potential uses of those funds, we have to have an ordinance that appropriates those. The ordinance that you have in front of you tonight is based on a template from the School of Government, and it essentially appropriates the funds in 5 major categories, all of which were in the legislation for the American Recovery Plan Act. So this would give you broad authority to spend those funds, and what we will need to do is, as you make decisions going forward about, are you going to spend it on infrastructure or on other things, you you will come and you will amend this ordinance for the specific amount and the specific purpose. But by adopting this ordinance, it gives you the ability to go ahead and proceed to use these funds and to select what you're going to be spending those on.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Sturtevant, seconded by Commissioner Bricken to approve the grant project orders for ARP funds. Any questions or discussion? All in
The
favor?
only comment I have, again, coming back to the number of citizens, all the money and all of the grants and so forth are usually based on population.
Okay, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous, it is approved.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is related to the ARP funds, and that is the sewer project to serve the small commercial shopping center that's being redeveloped on Highway 74 east of Wadesboro. Council previously, or commissioners previously took action that you wanted to do this project, develop sewer for that project, if it were eligible for ARP funds. Everything we've been able to determine so far, it would be an eligible project. The estimated cost of that is about $616,000. In order to do that, the county will need to engage an engineer to do the design and go through the permitting with the state for the project. However, because these are federal funds, we can't just go out and pick an engineer. We have to go through a procurement process. And so what we're asking tonight is that if the board is ready to proceed with this, to authorize us to issue a request for qualifications to engineering firms who would submit to the county on this project.
I make a motion, we move forward with that.
Can I ask you a question? I'll second it though. What are we gonna do about the second phase with the houses behind the mini mart? We gonna do them all at the same time or all at the same time? Cause ain't sense of paying the engineer twice to do to come out and engineer the houses behind it.
We don't know that this $616,000, that's just going down 74. If you're gonna look at those houses behind that, so we have to run a line down those roads, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that will be an additional amount of money, probably equal to or more than this.
But can we word it to where we're running the line to that point in front of the shopping center, but not necessarily for the shopping center? We're extending the line east to accommodate whoever can use it. Could we word it that way, you think?
I mean, we could word the RFQ any way that we're going to word the RFQ.
Yeah, cause I don't want it to seem limited to the shopping center.
Right, but what it looks bad is that you used the houses behind there to do this. So you're still gonna have to still do the houses in the back.
The failing septic systems in the back was part of the reason why we were interested in going for it, cause there are some systems, and I brought a letter in from the health department stating that the failing systems beyond, yeah.
That would have to be an additional portion of this right now. The original proposal, although you brought that letter in, the original proposal was to go down 74 to McCray Avenue. That's all it said.
That's right.
So that's what we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna do anything further, then that'll have to be another project.
Mr. Allen, if we are indeed fortunate, in your estimation, and I'm not asking you to be held to any particular number, how much of this do you think we can get by grants, federal, state funds?
This particular portion, Dr. Sims, is all federal. That would all be from the federal ARP.
That's what I was thinking.
And then you'll have additional ARP funds, but also the state budget, if it's approved, and it's still being negotiated, there's a substantial amount of money in the state budget that would go to local governments for water and sewer infrastructure. So there's definitely a possibility. I mean, you could, if we're talking about that neighborhood, for example, you could elect to use additional ARP funds, or we could apply to the state for a grant to hopefully cover that neighborhood as well. So I think the board would have a couple of options for that area.
Even that COVID money is available.
That's the ARP
Yeah,
fund.
yeah.
Okay.
So when
Not
can
familiar
we
with all
find
these
out
acronyms.
about the neighborhood? Before, when can we find out?
So I feel like that's gonna be a problem because you use the neighborhood to get it.
Well, But we could call this phase one, extending the line out there, and then look at phase two, get an engineer to come in and give us another price quote to include. Cause Mr. Kiker that came and talked to us had mentioned, that this system could accommodate, not necessarily where it stands, but the gravity flow in the system itself would accommodate the neighborhood behind it, if, you know, whenever we're ready to move on to that next step.
A lot of houses back
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So part of the idea when I brought the letter in was, although we weren't running the sewer line to the individual houses yet, would that sewer line accommodate those houses, you know, as maybe the next phase? And I think the answer to that was yes.
Turn right there.
Yeah.
Actually on both sides.
I understand what you're saying, but still, it was used, those houses behind there to get this project on the way, and now it's like we're leaving them out there in the cold, that they're not gonna have nothing to do with their sewer, because the issue's still there.
Well, I'd be satisfied certainly to run it to the house, but then we need an additional estimate and price quote before we can't just say, the 617 or whatever it is, we can't vote on that as if we're sure that would include the houses, cause that's not, yeah.
I understand that part, but it still need to be put in there about those houses, because you based it, them letters from the health department about those failing systems. So now it's you brought the issue to the county has to deal with it, because it was brought up.
Okay, we'll have to deal with that as a separate project. So right now, we need to move forward with this to get the engineering study done. And we approved this project in an earlier meeting. Do we need to approve getting the engineering? Do we need to vote to authorize you to get an engineering firm?
Yes, sir. What you approved before was to move with the project if we think it's eligible for ARP funding. We've now determined that. But in order to, you know, to move forward, we feel like we need authorization to issue the RFQ for the engineering firm.
Okay.
And in order to get to those houses, we'd have to go to where we're going with this project, or else we can't get to them. So that would be the way I would summarize it.
Okay, so at this time, and I'm gonna throw something out there, you know, a second part of this, getting the engineering. Of course, it will be a deal. I think the cost for this part of the engineering is included in the cost for running the sewer line, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if we ask them to do additional work on this, then there's gonna be more funding. So, I'm thinking, so that we don't hold this up, is that we take the vote to do the RFQ for the engineering firm for this project.
Right.
But while, Mr. Allen has them here, see if he can get some cost on what it would cost to do the second part and bring that back to us. Then we can decide about moving forward on that. That make sense?
I think that's a perfect way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. If I could just sort of clarify, you know, it might be that you take two actions. One, to issue the RFQ. The other, there is a relatively minor cost associated with the engineering study for this line. The engineers would need to do a similar study for the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So there would be some cost to that. I don't know if you wanna use, you could, in that case, because we're using county funds, you wouldn't have to go through an RFQ. The county could say, we wanna engage the same firm that did the first phase analysis, evaluation, to do an evaluation of what it would cost to serve the neighborhood. And you can move ahead on that basis.
And I would make a motion that we use LKC to give us a price quote on including the neighborhood as the 8-inch line is the trunk line.
Hold on, Commissioner Brigham, we gotta do this one first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, we need a motion to authorize the county manager and staff to move forward with doing RFQ for the engineering firm for the sewer project on Highway 74. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
A motion from Mr. Brigham, is that second?
Second.
Second from Dr. Sims, any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Okay, the motion carried, it is unanimous. Now for the second part.
I'll make a motion that we look at LKC to give us a price quote and an engineer design to accommodate the neighborhood.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mims, any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay, it is unanimous. So, that's the second part, get the
Yes, sir.
NLPC to look at the, community at the same time. Okay?
Be in two segments, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is COVID-19 extended leave, and Ms. Ingram is here tonight in case there are any questions about that. Katie, would you like to say anything? Are you? Just, I guess she's here in case there are questions. At the last board meeting, Commissioner Mims asked about the status of this. The county had previously extended special COVID leave. It expired at the end of September, and so Mr. Mims had asked that we put this on the agenda for consideration. Myself and Katie and the finance director, Mr. Karen, have talked about this. What we would recommend is it's completely at the board's option if you want to do this or not. If you elect to do it, we would recommend that you would do 2 weeks, and that it would go through June 30 of 2021, and that if people didn't use it, then it would flow over to their regular sick leave account. But we also are recommending the caveat that this only be for employees that are vaccinated, that if they haven't been vaccinated, they're not eligible for the additional leave.
Now, are you talking about, and I'm not hearing good with this math.
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about incentives, cash incentives for those people that have not been vaccinated?
Not for this particular item, Dr. Sims. This is just extending the leave for if an employee is sick with COVID or is exposed to COVID and they have to be out, this would give us 2 additional weeks of leave.
Okay, I understand that, and I'm getting outside the original discussion, but just my thought, a person ought not have to be given money to save their life. The greatest incentive of all to get you shot is not to die from COVID.
I understand, yes, sir, I understand.
And the other question I had was, you said extending it until June the 30th of 2021, and
22, I apologize, I missed 22, I apologize.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. The end of the current fiscal year.
Current fiscal year, okay, all right. That makes sense then. Okay, then we need a motion, I think, to do that.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion from Mr. Mims, seconded by Commissioner Sturman, to extend the COVID leave until June 30th, 2022, current budget year.
But you say it's in there, and it's for the ones that have been vaccinated, right?
That's our recommendation, Commissioner.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let me give some clarification. I was thinking the COVID leave policy that we had in place, did that have an incentive in it? I didn't think it did. If it does, then I'm wrong.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board. We had 5 different leave banks that, can you hear me? Okay. We had 5 different leave options for employees since the COVID pandemic started. The first 3 was the Families First coronavirus leave. That gave employees 2 weeks, 80 hours of leave. That went from April 1st of 2020 to December 31st, 2020. And then the county extended that option 2 times. The first time was from January 1, 2021 to March 31st, 2021. And that was based off the original 80 hours that employees were granted. And then April 1st, employees got a new 80-hour bank of leave, and that's the leave that currently expired on September 30th of this year. And in addition to the Family First leave, the board also gave 2 weeks of leave in 2 weeks of leave in, my dates. On March 17, 2020, during the emergency meeting, the board had gave us 10 paid sick days, and that was prior to the Family First leave being approved on the federal level. So that was the first 10 days that was granted, and then January this year, the board also gave additional sick leave. So all that leave has now expired. So any employees that's currently out with COVID is having to use their sick time, vacation time, or any other accumulated leave.
Okay, thank you. That's what I'm thinking. I think we're getting 2 things mixed up. I think first of all, we're talking about just the COVID leave policy that we put in place, extending that to June 2022. And the other thing is that was brought up was an incentive for people to get vaccinated. I think that's kind of separate from what we're talking about.
That's a separate agenda item following this.
Right, yes, sir. So now we have a motion to extend the COVID leave policy until June of 2022, made by Commissioner Mills, seconded by Commissioner Sturr.
Good with that.
And this will be separate from the.
Separate from the incentive.
Yes, sir. Cause currently we, post in surrounding counties just to kinda see what everyone else is doing. And a lot of counties actually has stopped doing extended leave. People are having to use their leave time, so the county has been very generous. So that's why, those that have extended leave are tying it to the vaccination to kinda encourage people to get vaccinated. So that's why we made that proposal to tie it into being vaccinated.
Okay. Are we good with tying into being vaccinated? Okay. Any further?
I would vote yes for the extended leave, but no for the, including the vaccine. That's part of the,
I request that we get together to make sure we define the terms fully vaccinated, because there's cases coming up where people think they're fully vaccinated, but they get sick after the first shot, but they were on schedule to be vaccinated. So would that be, but they were within the 3 weeks of the second shot.
Okay, so you're recommending that we don't take action on it right now? You're recommending that we don't take action on it right now?
I'm not recommending that. Well, what I'm recommending is that we can define the terms, and I believe we can do it after we do this. We just have to define the terms.
So we can take action, just, the terms will have to be defined.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We can do that later. But I believe this is something that needs to be done. Can't wait 30 days. But I mean,
okay.
That's just my thoughts on that.
Cause we
Okay.
currently have employees that's out right now, but since that FICA leave has expired, they're having to use leave time, or if they don't have leave time, then they're taking it without pay.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay, we have, Commissioner Bricken opposing. And we have 5 of us, in favor. So the, motion passes. Sal?
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is the incentive, and this was requested for consideration by Commissioner Gatewood, who was unable to be here, this evening, but he had requested that we look at using a financial incentive for employees who are fully vaccinated, or we end up defining fully vaccinated. Mr. Gatewood had suggested $500 per employee, and that would be a total cost of $161,000 if we include all full-time and part-time employees. And that would be using the ARP, the federal ARP funds. The memo that we provided in your agenda package, we gave you some examples of other jurisdictions, cities and counties that are doing this. A number of those are doing the $500 incentive, but they're breaking it up and they're giving an initial $250 incentive, and then if 75% or more of the workforce becomes vaccinated, there's an additional $250 incentive. That's completely at the board's decision if you want to do one or not do one, or what level you want to do it, the amount and so forth. That's completely at the discretion of the board. But we're bringing this information to you as requested by Mr. Gatewood.
You're talking about a total cost of somewhere between $150,000 and $300,000, is that correct?
No, sir, it's $161,000.
161.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna pay people to go get a shot.
That's what Mr. Gatewood has suggested.
I'm opposed to it. I think they ought to go get a shot for their own welfare.
There you go.
Okay, do we have any action by the board? Need a motion second to approve, or nothing, and we'll move on. Okay, not hearing a motion or second, we will move on.
The last item I have, Mr. Chairman, is your monthly budget report from Finance Director, Mr. Cannon. We placed a copy of this at your place tonight. He's provided a lot of narrative because we're still in a transition period where entries have been behind in the Finance Department. We are catching up. The report is still not completely accurate because we're still catching up on those entries, but it is getting better each month. He has added a dashboard and a couple of graphs as requested at the last meeting, to try to show the information in a more visual manner. We'll continue to provide these each month to the board, and we anticipate that they'll become more and more accurate as we catch up on entries in the finance department.
Okay, and any questions about Mr. Allen on finances? Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Right now, Commissioner Smith, we have last year's audit. The audit that was past due is done and has been sent to LGC. They've acknowledged receiving it. The projection for the current year's audit is have it in by March of 2022, which that will still be late, but it's considerably earlier than what we've done over the last 4 years, I believe it is, 5 years. That's where we stand right now, and you know, they, with the changes that are being in the finance department, I think that Mr. Cannon's on track with this projection. Okay.
Got a letter from the state.
We did, yeah.
And previously, 2 or 3 years ago, we got a letter from the state.
That's
So when
correct.
it's gonna take to get up to par?
My feel is we're on the way out of this now. And actually, Mr. Cannon and myself did an online presentation to the local government commission about a month ago, I believe it was, and that went well. We had to answer some of the same things you're saying, and there was 4 or 5 other counties that were in the same situation that we're in, and based on the questions that we were asked versus the question that the other counties were asked, I think we did well. So I think they see that we're working on our situation. They see that we're putting things in place to get it corrected, and we just have to do it. And I think with Mr. Cannon's leadership, I believe that's gonna happen.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one additional thing on that matter? If I have not had a vaccination, and you have not had a vaccination, then if I have a vaccination and you don't have one, you can't give it to me. You can give it to somebody else that doesn't have a vaccination. So it's really the unvaccinated people need to protect themselves. It's not protecting the people that are vaccinated, because you can't give it to me. Well, it's rare exceptions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Allen, is that all you have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next item is the chairman's report. In your package, there was a draft of the gaming ordinance, and that was basically, from the verbiage standpoint, was what the town of Wadesboro has adopted. So I'm asking everybody to review that, and based on the discussion that we had the last time, I believe everything that anybody thought about is included. We do have to clean it up a little bit, but I'd like for you to just kind of take a look at it, get back with Ms. Cannon with anything you see that might need to be different. The only thing that I see, I think the distances for the county would need to be, it's got 1.5 mile for the town of Wadesboro. I think in the county would need to increase that to like 1 or 2 miles or something along that line. What I'd like to do is get this the way we want it, and actually have a public hearing at our November meeting and move along with adopting this. So I think we need this to make sure that these places don't decide to try to find places out in the county to operate.
Do you have a by when, Chairman, you want us to be back with Ms. Cannon?
I'd say within the next week. Okay, also, Central Iowa Regional Council, the Connect Beyond Regional Mobility Plan is being kicked off, and we participated in, Mr. Allen participated in Zoom conference with Mrs. Gardner from Central Iowa to talk specifically about, Anson County, so we will get that out to everybody. I think that's all I've got. All right, next on the agenda, we do have a closed session to consult with the attorney under North Carolina General Statute 142-318.
Commissioner,
Oh, nobody gave me any. You gave me anything?
I wanted to ask a question, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead. Nobody, when I asked for them, nobody gave me anything, so I didn't write anything down.
We used to have what's the Christmas program, and I know we're not gonna do it because of COVID and finances. But last year, we gave, gift cards to all the employees and the part-time people. I want us to consider doing that again this year. We have some great employees.
I agree, and I thank you for bringing that up. I had meant to put that under my notes, but,
I really want us to do something, but I feel like we can go up on the amount,
okay.
please.
Be giving that some thought, and we will decide that at our November meeting, because
Okay.
we need to do it in December. But thank you, Mr. Earp, for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Okay? Next is closed session. We have a couple, consult with the attorney, personnel. So at this time, we will, we thank everybody for coming, and, we're getting ready to go in closed session, so we'll have a motion. Motion by Commissioner Brickman, seconded by Commissioner Mims to go into closed session.
You don't.
Okay, we are now in, open session, and we're on item 10, the bid award for the water treatment plant flush lagoon dam repair project bids.
Mr. Chairman, I propose a motion that after considering the bids and the quality, skills, integrity, and performance of the bidders, I believe that Bionomic Services Incorporated is the lowest responsible bidder, and that it is in the best interest of the county to award the contract to Bionomics as the lowest responsible bidder rather than to, Bond Incorporated. Therefore, I move to award the contract for the water treatment plant sludge lagoon and dam repair project to Bionomic Services Incorporated.
You have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Mims. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Okay. We have it 4 to 1 in favor, so the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we need to go back into closed session for 2 items, personnel and, North Carolina General Statute staff to instruct the staff agent concerning negotiation of price of terms of contract concerning the acquisition of real property.
We would go back into closed session.
I second it.
Motion by Commissioner Sims, second by Commissioner Sturman, and we'll go back into closed session.
I think that'll be nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we need a motion to recess until, October the 13th.
Mr. Williams.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Sturman, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.